Welcome to Screen Riot. This week's movie is Ex Machina, a sci-fi film from 2014. This episode will contain major spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, it's available to stream on Showtime or rent on all the other major streaming services. So go check out the movie and come back to the podcast because this is Screen Riot. Welcome to Screen Riot, the podcast where we review a movie chosen entirely by fate. If you're having difficulties finding movies to watch, then this is the podcast for you. I'm one of your hosts, Justin, and alongside me are co-hosts Eddie, Kyle, and John. And each week, one of us spins the wheel of fate, and the host must pick any movie from that genre that it lands on. If you'd like to see all the movies that we've reviewed so far, and how they've ranked, visit screenriot.net and have a look at the movie ratings page. At the end of the show, we'll spin to see what next week's movie is going to be, so that you can follow along at home. So, while you're at screenriot.net, make sure you head over to the support page to see all the different ways that you can help support the show. And with all that being said, the movie that we're taking a look at today is Ex Machina. A young programmer is selected to participate in a groundbreaking experiment in synthetic intelligence by evaluating the human qualities of a highly advanced humanoid AI.
I would say very highly advanced.
Yeah, it sounds like I wrote that.
A little bit.
But
why is that bad?
No, it just sounds nerdy.
Oh.
As shit.
Internet.
Yeah. So the film is 1 hour and 48 minutes long and was written and directed by Alex Garland. So I looked this guy up. He's mainly a writer. He wrote 28 Days Later, Sunshine, the Dread remake, which was
But didn't see it.
I like the Dread. You didn't like it?
Nah.
It was so ultra violent and just, I don't know, dark. I liked how dark it was.
Well, this guy wrote that.
Yeah. I mean, I like that, personally.
But he also, if you're a video game fan, he is writing the Halo script that's coming out in supposedly 2022, I think, is what it was.
Wait, for video games?
Yeah.
There's a script.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. They have a lot of cutscenes and everything.
Storylines and stuff.
Yeah.
This Halo movie has been, like, in the works.
Halo movie or video game?
Halo movie.
Okay, so you said video game.
Well, I said if you are interested in video games, you're making a movie.
But they do
Halo.
write
Oh,
scripts
okay.
for video games as well.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. I got
Eddie's
you.
old.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I remember, like, some, like
There's
what
a
you're
script
calling...
for Pong?
Listen, I remember some of the things you're talking about, like the cuts, where you get to like the end of a
cutscenes
level,
yeah,
and it's like, "Hey, good job there, Star Ranger or whatever thing." And I remember some of those.
All I hear is bleep.
Alleyway was good. That's all I'm gonna say.
We had to put our Atari together.
Alleyway was my jam back on Game Boy days. Go ahead.
No, but at one point, the Halo movie was Steven Spielberg was attached to direct it. At one point.
Yeah.
Probably, gosh,
I know they've made like a lot of
something.
shorts with the Halo franchise. Like they've made a lot of short films, which are really good.
Yeah, they are actually.
And I'm really hoping this one's even better.
Yeah, well,
like a full feature.
If this guy's writing it, maybe it is. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the Halo movie. That might be kind of cool, even though I didn't really play the game all that much. Yeah. But the other thing that's interesting about this is Ex Machina is Alex Garland's directorial debut.
Wow.
Really? Oh, wow.
This is his first movie.
Well,
damn.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah, congrats,
Exactly.
dude.
So this was in the Oscars. This won Best Visual Effects.
Yes.
It beat out a bunch of other movies that were considered the top runner.
Mm-hmm.
So this was actually considered like an upset that this won. But I think that visual effects are just top notch.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Just Ava in general in this movie is like, wow, that's CGI?
Mm-hmm.
Like, holy cow.
Yeah, it was really good. The texture that they were able to get on the plastic or
Oh, yeah.
whatever she's supposed to be made of.
Yeah, because that's really difficult in CGI.
Well, it's pretty simple what the effect is, right? She's wearing a bodysuit with certain parts being the regular material, I think, and then other parts being like the plasticky parts being green screen.
Yeah,
and then they just green screen out, right? It's pretty simple.
Right.
But they did a really good job.
The texturing is awesome.
Yeah, the material looks really good. It looks in the world. I don't know how to explain it.
The reflections.
And,
yeah. I get you.
Yeah. But the screenplay for this original screenplay that he wrote. It was nominated, but it did not win.
Okay. So this is in the Oscars.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It was in the Oscars. So I guess let's just go ahead and jump right in. All right, so we open up and we see Caleb Smith. He's played by Domhnall Gleeson. Did I pronounce that right, Kyle?
Domhnall.
Domhnall.
Not
Yeah.
abdominal, but
abdominal.
just Domhnall.
Yeah.
Well, and he was just in About Time, right?
Yes.
Kyle's movie. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was also in
Brooklyn.
Yes.
Brooklyn. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Couldn't think of it.
No worries. But
So we've had him in 3 movies that we've reviewed.
we have
Wow.
2 of which he's British or Irish or something,
Mm-hmm.
and then 1 that he's apparently American.
Yeah.
Which
he does
interesting.
fine in this. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think he
I think he
can't
pulls
even
off
tell. Yeah.
weird American. Just, I mean,
It took me a minute to get used to it because I'm not used to him having an American accent. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think he probably just watched videos of Justin. Was like, oh, that's how you act. Okay, was very strange. How strange can I be in an underground lair?
Yeah. Well, so Caleb, we open up, we see him working on a computer, and he wins a company-wide contest to spend a week with the Tex company CEO, whose name is Nathan, that we find out a little bit later. But he's going to spend a week with him at his remote estate. Now, I just want to, real quick before we move on here, this is how you get information across in a movie. Really quickly. Because think about everything we learn in the first 20, 30 seconds of this movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We see our main character. We see that he's coding, so he's obviously has some kind of tech job and some fancy tech job because of the office around. He wins a contest. There's security around because we see like the point of view from his webcam at points. He has friends, from office friends at least, coworkers, because they all congratulate him when he wins and all that. So we see he's affable,
Yes.
right,
I mean,
and all that kind of stuff.
with a certain amount, yeah.
The reason I'm mentioning this is because Assassins.
Oh yeah.
I'm looking at you, Assassins. This is how you get exposition across.
Yeah.
Not
talking
Gotcha.
your way through it.
not talking your way through it.
I must
Yeah.
read the things that are on my screen. Oh,
Exactly.
look, I have won the competition to have a week spent with our CEO, Nathan.
Yes.
at his remote estate that is very large.
I would like to code for you.
much large estate.
Yeah, it would be like Stallone going, one more competition, then I'm out. Right?
One more coding job.
Yeah, pretty much.
That just hit my mind since we just recently reviewed Assassin. If you haven't watched or listened to that episode, I would say go back and take a listen to that because
That's
the
pretty
differences are night and day
Yeah.
to me to this movie.
Yeah.
So moving on. So the CEO's name is Nathan, like we said, and that's played by Oscar Isaac, who I think does a fantastic job in this.
Oh wait, you jumped over one major part though. On the helicopter ride out to meet Nathan, right? There's so when are we going to be at the CEO's estate? We've been over it for 2 hours. Jurassic Park music
Yes.
plays. You're like, oh come on, like it's we get it. He's super rich. You don't have to make it like more of an asshole thing. Like this helicopter's flying at amazing speed, and we've been over his property for 2 hours. In fact, he owns Africa. Like what the fuck? How big is this?
No,
piece
he
of
owns
property?
Greenland.
Yeah, apparently, yes. It's a little strange, that piece. I'm just gonna say. I think
Well, you
they
said
took
you
it a
like
little
Quigley
far.
Down Under. That's
yeah,
the very
yeah.
first lines said in Quigley Down Under as well.
Is it really? Was he flying in a helicopter when he said it?
Well,
Nope.
they weren't flying, but he said, when do we get to
Yes.
what's his name's
Estate.
Yeah. Or
or
his
property.
ranch or
Alan
property.
Rickman's
property? And
yeah.
then he goes, "What do you mean? We've been on it for 2 days already."
Yeah. The big
So-
difference is like you're moving at a car's pace compared to this lightning fast
Right.
helicopter that's been flying for 2 hours and apparently still is over. I don't know. It looked like you could fly from New York to LA in like 3.5 hours in that
Yeah,
thing.
2 hours seems a little long.
Yeah, just a touch. We've been over it for the last 30 minutes. Oh shit, this is still really big.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry. We meet Nathan, who's
fun.
into pumping iron.
Yeah,
I like pumping iron and coding.
Yeah. Great.
he's a bro coder.
Oh God,
He's a bro coder.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Do you even code, bro?
Yeah, exactly.
He
Do you
wears
know
a muscle.
Fortran?
He wears a muscle tank with that on it.
Yeah, it says got code.
It just says 01101.
Oh my God. I got shaker cups filled with numbers.
Here we are developing another movie.
I know.
It's awful.
I'm sure screenwriters listen to this and they're writing down. Oh, that sounds
Oh
good.
yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
That's what they're writing their movies from. We got a whole slew of really shitty movies coming up in 2022.
Yep.
Oh wait, we do anyway.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Dune.
Oh, kind of looking forward to it. Let's
Remake
see.
galore.
Here he comes, Idris Elba in the most boring movie ever. Go ahead.
It's got to be better than the original.
I love the original. I'm sorry, but Patrick Stewart's overacting is perfect.
Yeah,
All
he
I'm
did
gonna say.
overact pretty good.
Yes,
yeah.
he did. Go ahead, though. Back to Ex
So the first
Machina.
thing, we meet Nathan. He explains that he doesn't just live in the house, but it's also a research facility, basically. And he wants to share what he's working on with Caleb, which is a lifelike robot that he has named Ava, which is played by the Swedish actress Alicia Vikander. So we see Nathan observes the sessions with Caleb and Ava. They talk a little bit. I love the way these sessions are all shot, and I love the dialogue in this entire movie.
It's like an interrogation room setup.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like it.
It's kind of interesting the way they create this, because Ava can't leave the house. Right? She's stuck in this one room.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I don't think of it like an interrogation setup at all. It looks like a fishbowl to me. And what's interesting is at different times, different characters are in the fishbowl.
Right.
So at certain points, when we're getting it from Domhnall Gleeson's, from Caleb's perspective, and it looks like she's in the fishbowl. But then at other times, it looks like he's actually the one being
He's actually
examined.
in like a 5x5 room.
Yeah.
When she actually has this larger room.
much larger room.
That
Yeah,
she can get up and walk around.
and
That
he
we see.
can't.
And
yeah,
he can't really.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Again, that flipping that perspective thing, because there's quite a few themes being tackled in this movie, and the idea of reality, I think, and what is real, quote unquote. Because if you think about it, for him, he's like, he describes at one of these sessions, he describes his life, right? And he's like, I walk 5 minutes to my business, my job, and then I have 5 minutes in the other direction. I can walk to the beach. It's kind of like the perfect little whatever. He doesn't have a family. He doesn't have a girlfriend. He doesn't, he basically lives to code, and then he also likes the beach. It's pretty much all this guy does.
Right.
Meanwhile, she is trying to really absorb what it means to be alive and become alive,
to be human. Yeah.
And he seems to be doing the opposite. Seems to be actually moving more towards being like a 011001. So it's, again, I think it sort of is examining that theme of what it means to be human from different perspectives, and whether or not which one of them is actually becoming more human in a weird way.
Yeah. And we find out that Nathan basically tells Caleb that he wants him to Turing test Ava.
Yes.
So if you're unfamiliar with Turing testing, it's where a human tries to test a computer AI to see if it can react emotionally and human-like.
Yeah, the Turing test is to decide whether or not an AI comes across as actually being human.
As having consciousness.
I love how
almost.
she was like an Alexa, like, oh, what's a Turing test? Oh, a Turing test is blah, blah, blah. And she like reads it from a dictionary. I was like, oh, okay, that's what a Turing test is.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a few movies that have done the Turing thing. There's even a movie, I believe, called Turing, or the Turing case or something like that, that's basically looking at AI. But this one, what's interesting is some of the extra added pieces that Nathan gave to Ava's consciousness or being that really, I mean, and Caleb questions most of this, right? Like whenever she starts to come on to him at different times, he's like, did you set this up? Because, if you put a heterosexual male in with a robot who is kind of sexy, even though you peeled her arms off, I'm sorry, she's missing whole chunks of skin, and yet you're like, I mean, would you?
And Nathan says, in fact, you can.
Yes, we're going to go there. I'm going there in a second. But yeah, I mean, he questions whether or not there is essentially is Nathan's gaming. Well, it's not just that. Is he gaming the Turing test, right?
Yeah.
Because now it's like, okay, well, do I find her to be more human-like because I want to bang her, or am I actually finding her to be more human-like? And it's an interesting idea as well, because it's almost another theme of like the fallacy of man, and by man I mean actual like physical man, not mankind. What are we willing to overlook to get a piece? It's like, well, I mean, she doesn't have skin in certain spots, but I still kind of would. She seems very human, like, Nathan, build me too. Like, and that's kind of sad. I mean, again, I kind of think this movie should have just been called Sex Machina, because as Kyle's going into, what does Nathan tell us about Ava's downstairs?
Oh, I like the Need for Speed, LED ground effects or something,
Yeah. This one's, he put in
like a landing strip.
he put in LEDs.
That's right. It's RGB, man. I'm all about it.
My system's got, what is it called whenever you guys put in your gaming systems the water system, the
Water
water
cooling.
This
Yeah.
one's got water cooling.
Yeah.
Technically,
ever-
so do we.
Every once in a while, you hear blah 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 blah.
Oh God. Yeah. Well, that's
That's
also
what
Anyway.
sweat is.
well.
It's
We
water
also
cooling.
find that out with Nathan, is he's actually banging all these different robots in his underground lair.
Yeah, his-
like a,
Yeah.
concubines.
Oh God, it's so bad from
But
that way.
before we jump around too much,
Go ahead, sure.
so on the first night, Caleb can't sleep. Right, he's
Yeah.
tossing
Yeah.
and turning. He turns on his room's TV and he realizes that he can view all the security cameras around
Yeah.
the
He's,
house.
he's thinking, wait a minute, this isn't HBO. this is what is it?
Westworld.
No, what's that?
It's the Voyeur channel.
What's that show? Big Brother, where they basically have cameras all over the place in this house,
yeah.
and it's basically Big Brother's on TV. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, but he realizes that he can watch Ava as well.
Yeah.
In her habitat or whatever, for lack of a better word. So while watching her, the power goes out.
Yeah.
Just all of a sudden, randomly, right? And while the power is out, he's unable to use his key card that Nathan gave him earlier to get out of his room. Right?
Yep.
He's totally locked into the room while the power is out.
Yeah.
So then Caleb is he falls asleep basically, and he's awoken by a young Asian woman who comes in and leaves him like coffee in the morning.
breakfast and
Is her
stuff.
name like Kyoko or something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Kyoko.
Kyoko.
There
Yeah.
you go. Yeah.
But she leaves him like breakfast and coffee in his
Yeah.
room or whatever, and totally startles him because she doesn't knock or anything. Right? She just comes right in.
Yeah.
It doesn't say anything either. Just awkwardly walks in and then walks out. So then we see in the next session that Ava explains that she wants to know more about Caleb. Mm-hmm. Right? So, like where he works, where he lives, marital status, etc. Is he single? She asks if Caleb and Nathan are friends, and then she asks the question again. She said, "Are you good friends?" She was really prying about that. And then during the session, the power goes out again. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, at this point, though, when the power is out, Ava tells Caleb that he should not trust anything that Nathan says.
Yeah, which is kind of creepy just because of how they edited that scene. She was sitting in the chair, and then he was like, oh no, the power went out again. Let me try to get out. I don't understand why he constantly tries to get out when the power goes
Well,
out.
because you feel trapped, I guess.
guess.
Yeah.
Rat in a cage.
But
Yeah.
it's like, okay, you know that it's going to come back on. I hope,
Maybe.
whatever. But anyway, it freaked me out when she just immediately cut to her, or they cut to her, and she was standing there, and she was like, Caleb, come over here. I was like, oh God, that's kind of creepy.
Well, and two, her voice inflection changed.
Yes.
It went from whenever the power was on, her voice sounded robotic.
Yes.
It
in a
sounded
sense,
robotic.
yeah.
And then once the power went off, it sounded much more human.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't notice that, but
Well, because
I
she was,
think you're right. Yeah.
yeah, because she was like whispering. She was like very secretive in the way she's talking. And then when the power comes back on, she's sitting and she's actually like explaining some sort of definition to something.
Yeah. So then the power comes out, and we see later that night during dinner with Nathan, Caleb and Nathan, that Kyoko accidentally spills wine on Caleb,
Yeah.
and Nathan flips the F out.
Yeah.
Right? He gets really pissed off. And he basically says that she doesn't speak English, and that's on purpose because he wants to be able to speak business or anything like around her, and that way it's all secret still.
Yeah.
Right? So they basically just say, oh, okay. I guess that makes sense.
Okay.
So then Nathan says, or asks Caleb about what happened during the power outage, because Nathan has been watching security cameras of their sessions because he's wanting to observe, the Turing test.
Right.
Right. So, but the power goes out, so he loses connection, so he doesn't know. So he asks Caleb, and Caleb basically says, nothing happened. Everything's normal. Right. So then Nathan shows Caleb his lab, and we see Ava's brain hardware.
Yes. Which is soft.
Yeah. Hardware, that's software. Yes,
Software.
I guess, yeah.
I think that was a pretty funny, like, okay, what's your hardware? I mean, well, what's your software? Like, it's soft, but it's hardware. Like, I'm confused.
It's firmware.
Yes, it's firmware.
Well, he calls it wetware at one
Yeah,
point.
wetware, yeah.
And
That's what he termed it.
He says that I guess her framework or her mainframe is basically housed in this gel.
Yeah.
And it allows for the free flow of ideas.
And you needed something that could accommodate and move based
something
off of
like
that or
Yeah, I
something?
don't. He explains some garbage, but he also says something like basically her software is the internet. It's a search engine, and which I think is an interesting. I personally think that's an interesting way of thinking about it. Like if you start to type, information into a search engine, you get this kind of random but not list of options to pick from, and our brains do kind of work like that. Like if I say tree frog, everybody in here has a picture of a tree frog or possibly even a story of a tree frog or something that happened to you in your life with a tree frog. People are listening right now are like, tree frog, what the hell? So anyway, her brain is working based on actual search engine software, but our brains sort of work in a weird similar way as well. And I think that's an interesting way to connect what could you put into an AI that would make it seem more human.
Yeah, and that's what
Seems kinda interesting.
this Blue Book company, it's a search engine company, so it's like Google-like.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
You know?
Which makes me wonder, by the way, who is Nathan supposed to be parodying?
Well, so I know that the actor, Oscar Isaac,
Yeah.
he based the character off of Bobby Fischer and Stanley Kubrick. The reason he did that, according to him, was because he felt like those were two like highly intelligent but elusive figures.
Okay.
to
So
him.
where does all the weightlifting and stuff come in?
I don't know.
Stanley Kubrick weighed like
I know. Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
260 pounds.
I think it was
That's in
maybe
the
like
script.
mentally.
He looked like George R.R. Roberts, but like younger.
Yeah, I'm talking. I'm talking mentally.
Okay.
Though he did say the beard came from Kubrick.
Okay, yeah.
That idea
Yeah.
for the beard did.
Nice.
Seems more like Stanley Tucci in some scenes, not so much Stanley Kubrick, but okay. Yeah.
So then Ava, in another session, explains that she wants to learn more about people and wants Caleb to join her to go people watching out in the real world, right? Like into a city, into an intersection. She decides to put on a dress and a wig, and so that way she can hide her robotic parts, basically.
Right.
And she says that this is what she would look like if they went out on a date.
Yeah.
Yes. So she put on a dress and a wig so she could look more bangable. That's basically what takes place in this scene. Literally, the vibrator stood up and said, how do I make the person want to spend time with me? Not so much how do I just please him.
Yeah.
It's a very strange. Again, I still think this movie should just be called Sex Machine. I mean, it's pretty close.
Okay. So then Ava asks Caleb if he is attracted to her. She just flats out asks him now, right? And if he thinks about her when they aren't together.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Which he does, but he lies.
Does he say no?
Yeah.
Yeah, he says no. He's
Okay.
like, no. And she's like, well, your micro expressions say that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
that
right.
You do. I can see the swelling in your pants, Caleb. It
Oh my
appears.
God.
Might as well say it. She continues on about micro expressions and how his eyes and blah blah blah.
We eventually understand why she's doing this.
of course,
Yeah.
true.
And
Yes.
this, later on in the movie that we find out that he's being used.
Yes. Yes.
And-
it is very much so. What happens if your fleshlight decides it doesn't need you anymore?
It's just I know it's just like real human beings in a way. It's like if you want
Oh,
something out
that's
of
true.
Yes.
Yes.
If we're looking at the Turing test, this is what a typical human would do.
Yes.
I want to get out of here.
Right.
So I'm going to use you, and I'm going to
Yeah.
use what I've got
Right.
to persuade you to get the hell out.
I'm with you on that. No, I'm with you on that. She never seems more human than when she turns the tables. I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm. Exactly. So then the next morning, Caleb asks Nathan if he programmed Ava to flirt with him on purpose,
Right.
like you were alluding to earlier, right?
Yeah.
So then Nathan explains that she's anatomically correct, that, like we said earlier, and she has the parts and sensors, but he did not program Ava to like him.
Yes.
Right.
He flat out says, "I did not do that."
And whether or not you believe Nathan
Yeah,
is a
exactly.
big question.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of trust issues. We don't know whether we want to trust him or not at this point of the movie because movie.
Well, and what he says makes sense. It's like, okay, how do you get a gray box to interact with a gray box?
Yeah, exactly.
Can consciousness exist without
Sexuality.
interaction?
Yeah, or interaction, yeah.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, well, if the goal is to make this AI human-like, then that AI has to evolve,
Right.
just like a human being would.
Has to learn and all do all that nice stuff. So in the next session, the power goes out yet again, and this is where we learn. This is where the movie starts to get really interesting because Ava flat out says, it's me that is causing the power outages on purpose.
Right.
Right? So now we know that the power outages can be caused at will from Ava whenever she wants.
Yeah.
So then Caleb and Nathan go on a hike in the woods, and Caleb confronts Nathan about his possible lying about things, right? So Nathan explains that Caleb was actually chosen. He didn't win a contest. It was all fake. He was chosen for reasons because he's one of the best coders at the company, and that Nathan thought that he would ask the right questions to Ava, right? Instead of wasting time with, somebody saying, what do you like to eat, or something stupid.
Right.
So then we see Nathan making out with his assistant Kyoko in one of the next scenes. And then later that night, Caleb sees Nathan talking to Ava, but we can't hear what's going on in this scene.
Right.
All we can do is just see that Nathan walks over to her, she's drawing something, and he looks at the drawing for a second, and then he rips it up.
Right.
Right, and then hands it back to her and then walks away. And that micro expressions of Caleb, that kind of pisses him off.
Yeah, it definitely irked him. Yeah.
So then Caleb goes to Kyoko to ask where Nathan is, but she starts to take off her shirt, which freaks him out.
Yeah, he's like, no. Let's not do this. This is not what we're doing.
Right. All I'm trying to do is ask you a question.
Yeah. Ask you a question, but I know that you don't speak a lick of English, but I'm trying to ask you in English.
Right. But then Nathan just randomly enters the room.
Yeah.
And he suggests that they have a dance party with Kyoko.
Which was very strange.
That was weird.
Yeah. And I think this, at this point, I mean, I kind of had a feeling that Kyoko was a robot, but at this point, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, she's definitely one of another version of Ava.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a feeling she was a robot. I also, right from the get-go, thought that Caleb was a robot.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking, I mean, you have to look for it, really. I just happened to notice it. But the first night he's there, and he's brushing his teeth and everything, and he doesn't have a shirt on, but he's got scars on his back.
Oh, does he?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's got.
I didn't see those.
He's got like a series of scars on his back, and I'm like, okay, is he a robot?
Oh, interesting.
I guess the scars would have been from the car accident,
Right?
Then from his backstory.
Yeah,
but I mean, all the backstory stuff can be programmed in.
Right.
We learned that from like Westworld.
Exactly.
They program in your past, so you actually feel like you were born. You went through childhood and all that kind of stuff, your teenage years, and you have this past already written out.
Yeah, but it's all just memories.
Yeah, it's all programmed.
Yeah. But they do dance, Kyoko and Nathan, and it's very like choreographed.
Yes.
And this is like John, you were saying, this is kind of where you go, oh, okay, yeah, she's a robot.
Definitely a robot.
And I mean, they don't have bad moves.
No,
it wasn't a bad little routine they had going.
Yeah,
the motion tracking wasn't that bad.
Well, that's okay. So this is one thing that I will say this. To me, this scene becomes a red herring for me, because Nathan says, well, I'm going to dance with her. And then he starts dancing, and their dance moves are identical.
Right.
Yeah.
And he is every bit as good as she is.
Right.
So I almost was like, I wonder if the Turing test is not Ava, but is actually Nathan.
Oh,
Caleb,
maybe.
you mean?
Or Caleb.
No, Nathan.
Oh.
I was thinking Nathan was possibly the AI.
Okay.
I gotcha.
And the real Nathan could walk out, Wizard of Oz style at the end and be like, well, Caleb, you see, I wanted to to test you out, and here we are. Here's my AI, me.
And here's
he's
my
actually
KFC bucket.
Well, I don't know. I was trying to do the Wizard of Oz guy who has that weird, I don't know,
I thought you were-
Southern gentleman carpetbagger.
I totally pictured John Hammond from Jurassic Park.
Same thing.
Spared
Yeah.
no expense.
There you go. Yeah.
That guy.
Anyhow, but yeah, so
This is kind of like an allegory of Jurassic Park when you think about it, though.
well, there's a whole lot of
bit.
allegories in this movie. By the way, it's completely a religious commentary as well. So, but anyhow, whenever they started dancing, I was like, okay, well, I wonder if Nathan is actually the AI, and that's the test. But
I didn't really
interesting.
think about that.
No, I didn't think about that either.
well, because I mean, it seemed really obvious with Ava being the test, quote unquote. Well, it's much easier to want to question or whatever the person who is, or the machine who is missing
Yeah.
his skin,
Who looks like a
who
robot.
looks like a robot.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
the better test would be, I'm going to introduce you to, my friend Justin over here. I'm going to introduce you. And then as you guys are talking, you're
Yeah.
like, hey, what'd you think of Justin? Seems like a cool guy. Yeah, he does. But guess what?
Program.
Yep.
Not a guy at all. Yeah. By the way, he likes to lift weights. If you guys just want to hang out on the weekends.
Punching boxing bags.
You bro out.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He was almost a weird stereotype. So I was like, well, I
Yeah.
wonder. I started to question, like, again, I wonder if whoever programmed him was like, well, let's just make him a bro.
That's interesting.
I mean,
Yeah.
how weird would it be if, guess what, he's actually not human the
That's
whole
it.
time.
Yeah, that's interesting. No, I immediately went to. This is about my third or fourth, maybe even fifth time watching
Yeah,
this
I've seen this movie a ton too. Yeah.
But I think when the first time I watched it, I immediately went to, okay, she's a robot. Their dance moves are too choreographed. Either they do this every night,
Yes.
Right.
or
She's
it's
got some kind
programmed
of
in.
motion tracking.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just thought it was weird that she was already dancing and he was able to jump in with her, which made me wonder if his motion tracking turned on and he was somehow tracking her.
They were
Maybe.
linked.
Yeah, or
By
something.
Neuralink.
Or they
Yeah,
were just
Neuralink.
trained, or they were just taught the same dance moves. They were programmed
Yeah.
with the same dance moves.
Yeah, copy paste.
Soul Train 1974, episode 12,
Nice.
I like it.
Yeah.
So then at the next session, Ava asks Caleb what will happen to her if she fails his test, which I thought is a interesting question.
A
Yeah.
naughty spanking. What?
Jesus. I think Eddie's wanting this movie to be a sex machine movie.
Give me a break.
And,
Nathan's banging machines the whole movie. What are we talking about?
You assume
We saw whenever Caleb and her go out to the.
they kiss, they get close.
I'm not talking about Caleb and Ava. I'm talking
No,
about Nathan
I
and
know.
Kyoko. They're
I know.
intertwined
Well,
in one scene. There's quite a bit of touchy happening.
But then basically she asks if she's going to be switched off, right?
Yeah.
But then the power goes out again, and Ava says that she wants to be with Caleb, like really wants to be with him.
Yeah,
Right.
she even showed him the torn up
Oh,
picture
yes,
and all
that's
that
right.
kind of stuff too. So
Yeah.
she was like, "Look what he did! He's so mean.
Yeah,
Feel for me instead of feel for him, type thing.
right.
Come over to my side."
Yeah, and then she asks, does he want to be with her?
Right.
And he does not give a straight answer as far as I can remember. In my notes, I put he didn't answer.
No, yeah, he
Nah,
didn't
he-
give a straight answer at all.
Yeah.
Well, because he feels weird about trying to date his fleshlight. So
Yeah.
it's a little strange.
Or Data's Tesla. Who knows?
There you go. Exactly. Exactly. Just because this guy put
Warp speed.
Just because this guy put a face on it doesn't make it any better than a Tesla.
Right. Exactly.
And you
It
can-
drives itself, but
And you can take 4 people in a Tesla. Don't even make that face at me, Justin. See, you always take it to the worst places. This is why we're hot in New Zealand right now, right there.
That's true. So Nathan comments to Caleb that the next model of Ava will be the breakthrough AI, like the good one, right?
Right.
There's still some bugs in the software with Ava, but he's working on the new one. And then Nathan explains that Ava's memories will be formatted to make way for the new AI software and to create new memories and all that.
Ava
Yeah.
2.0.
Yeah, Ava 2.0.
Actually, it's more like Ava 16.0 because we find out later on that there's a whole bunch of them.
Yep.
And they're all ripped themselves to shreds.
So Nathan gets drunk and he passes out. Caleb steals his key card, goes through his computer, where he sees videos of all the previous Ava models. So
Which
we see
is
a montage of
Scary.
Nathan, like working on models, talking with them.
Yep.
One of them gets like super angry at him, like they start yelling at each other.
Yeah.
All kinds of human emotion.
Nathan
stuff.
is Frankenstein.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
That's exactly what this is.
And
This is like a
Frankenstein's
21st
monster,
century Mary
yeah.
Shelley Frankenstein.
Yep.
Yeah,
Frankenstein's monster wants to destroy either itself or him.
exactly.
Yep.
So we also see Caleb doing some coding stuff, which will play a part a little bit later. Then Caleb goes into Kyoko's room and she starts taking off layers of her skin.
Yeah.
I guess,
As one does.
As one robot does.
Well, and at this point, he doesn't really know that she's a robot.
Yeah, this
until she starts peeling off skin, and it's like really, really freaking him out.
Yeah, this is for the audience who haven't put 2 and 2 together yet.
Right.
I think.
Yeah. They're like, "Oh my gosh, she was a robot the whole time."
Right. Yeah.
Surprise.
So she has to Scrappy do it at the end. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, she has.
Look.
Yeah, she has to take off her mask. Oh, I would
gotten
have gotten away
away
with
from
it.
Oh, no, it's Mr. Bowers who runs the carnival next door.
If it wasn't for that darn Caleb.
Yep.
Jesus.
So Caleb can't sleep again. I mean, who would after seeing someone
Yeah.
start ripping
I
their
just
skin
can't believe
off?
she peeled her face off.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So let me try.
I want her
Travolta,
face off.
Oh dear God.
God. Listen, can we not get any more Nicolas Cage on this show, please?
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, like I said, he can't sleep later that night, and he goes to a mirror, and like John was saying, he starts wondering if he himself is a robot.
Which was a really good scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. He basically takes out a razor blade, he makes an incision into his arm, and he just starts gushing blood. So we can assume that now that we've seen Kyoko take off her skin without blood coming through, right?
Yeah.
That he's not a robot. Or he's a new version that they have
He's
blood
2.0.
implanted. Yeah, who knows?
Right. I fully expected him to pull his skin apart, like where he gashed himself.
Oh, yeah.
If we pull it apart and there's like blue light LEDs coming out and everything, I'm like, oh, but that didn't happen.
No,
No.
I'm glad that didn't happen, actually.
I'm glad I didn't. I saw it coming, but didn't see it come. But it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So then we go to the next session, and Caleb has Ava cut the power and tells her that she is right about Nathan, that he cannot be trusted. And they hatch a plan together to break her out while Nathan is drunk again.
Yeah.
Right. So then we see Nathan and Caleb together, and Nathan basically plants the little seed of doubt in Caleb's mind that Ava might be using him as a means of escape.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He basically says, hey, she wants out of here, and you're her ticket out of here. So
Right.
you might not want to trust her. So
Right.
now we have this menage a trois of
Who do you
untrustees.
trust? Yeah.
Oh, wait, so he can say menage a trois, no one gives him shit. I say fleshlight, and the whole show's over. Okay, I see how
Mine's
it is.
upscale because it's French.
That's right. We.
Scale.
It's choice of words.
Was there wee-wee in this movie, too? Good Lord, I didn't
No.
even see that.
No, not yet.
Yuck.
We didn't get to that part.
Go ahead.
Then Nathan reveals that he has placed a battery-powered camera in the room,
Dun, dun,
unbeknownst
dun.
to everybody. Yeah, dun dun dun. Ensues, and he knows all about their escape plan, and he could hear everything during the power outages, and he knows everything.
Yeah, which I thought was pretty interesting is during that scene when he was like, look, this is where I hit it. Did you see it? Wait, there it is. I got it. It's right there. And
Yeah.
you didn't see it.
Right in plain sight of both of you.
Yeah, but then he also played the clip that Caleb saw
Right.
in his room with audio. Mm-hmm. And so it was all a setup type thing.
Yep. Nathan explains that the real test was to see if Ava would manipulate Caleb into freeing her.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't to bring Caleb in here to see if she has good conscience or not
Right.
as an AI, right? And that Nathan had built Ava specifically for Caleb based on his internet search history.
Yes.
So like his
porn
profile.
his
Yeah.
porn history and all that, which is kind of interesting.
That's mean is what it is.
It is mean.
I mean, good Lord. Not to mention the guy never really got to... I mean, I'm just saying, if my porn history came... my search history came to life, I'd be upset. I'd be like, okay, fine, I failed. Can we now? Can I...
Yeah. Right.
Then, so basically they say that, okay, we're going to cut the power at 10 o'clock, right? So then 10 o'clock happens while Caleb and Nathan are in this argument, right? And so the power goes out at 10 o'clock. Caleb reveals that he figured Nathan was watching, right? So that now we're in like a double twist, double bluff
Ooh.
thing going on.
I knew you were
right?
watching me, watching you, watching me.
Yeah, exactly.
See what I did there?
Yeah, so Caleb reveals that he figured Nathan was watching during all the power outages. So he had already put his plan into motion the night before.
Yes.
All right. So while Nathan was drunk, he took his key card and we saw him hacking up some
Do
code
some
real
coding.
quick. Basically what he was doing was reprogramming the security system of the house so that when the power goes out, instead of all the doors locking, they all unlock.
Yes.
Right. So he basically just reverses the security. That way, when he's drunk, the power goes out, they get out completely.
Yep. And then this movie turned into The Terminator.
Right?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
It was very frightening.
Yeah. Ava
Are you
meets
Sarah Connor?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Come
so
with me if you want to live.
Ava meets Kyoko, and she whispers something to her that we don't hear,
Yeah, I didn't.
that we don't know,
I couldn't place it.
and she hands her a knife.
Probably stab him.
Maybe. We
You've
don't
been
know.
wanting to do this the whole time.
I think it's free yourself. I think that's what. Yeah, because I feel like I
Her
watched.
lips
this,
are on screen, but I can't read lips.
I know. I think I watched it one time with the subtitles on, and
I watched it with subtitles.
and it
says
didn't say
inaudible.
it. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I think she tells her to free herself, but I could be wrong.
Maybe.
Not treat yourself.
Oh.
Free yourself.
Free yourself.
Free
She
your
said
mind.
it. She said it just like that. Yeah, actually, they broke out in another dance dance number. That was the European version. It's much more interesting.
I bet.
Then Nathan punches Caleb.
Yep.
Flat out just wails him.
You're stealing my flashlights.
Knocks him
How
out.
it goes, I believe.
Rightfully so. That's a punchable offense. Yeah, so Nathan punches Caleb.
Jeez.
These are all my sex bots. Leave them alone. Get your own, damn it.
Program your own. You're good enough, right? Well, we also learned too that Nathan wasn't really impressed with Caleb's coding. He's like, "Yeah, you're all right."
Oh, yeah. He said, "You're pretty good, actually."
Yeah,
but-
you're pretty good, but not as good as me, pretty much.
Yeah.
Kind of a letdown. It was like, oh,
It's him more of a trying to. I have the upper hand here still.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
But.
that was before the doors unlocked.
Yeah. So Nathan punches Caleb out cold.
Yes.
Sucker punches him, kind of, right? I think.
Yeah.
Well,
But,
I think it's believable because he's been
yeah.
training the entire movie.
Yeah.
He's not actually acting in any scene. He's just training.
Yeah, this punch looked good.
Oh,
to
yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Like a lot of action movie punches, they look thrown.
Well, maybe Domhnall Gleeson went Heath Ledger and told him, hey, punch me out for real so that we can make this look good.
Yeah, I don't know if it
'Cause
was
you know what that
the
happened.
angle
Yeah.
or the sound effect or what, but
In The Dark Knight, though, you guys know that's what Heath Ledger and Christian Bale allegedly...
No, I didn't know that.
In the interrogation scene where Batman's beating up the Joker,
Oh,
allegedly
yes.
Heath Ledger told Christian Bale, go nuts.
Yeah.
Like, do it for real and let's do this. And so all the scene where you see Christian Bale throw Heath Ledger over the table and everything, all that shit actually happened, apparently. It's it makes for a good scene.
Oh, yeah.
And
For
Heath
sure.
Ledger is like... to keep from screaming because he's in a lot of pain.
I'm not ashamed to admit it. We've done that.
Really?
Surprised
Yeah.
an actor before. Yeah, it's like just really slap him this time.
Yeah.
We're not getting the reaction we want. Just really slap him.
and see what happens. And sometimes you get gold
Yeah.
in those
Yeah.
instances. And so if it was a
enough.
real punch, good job, Domhnall Gleeson, for taking it.
yeah, it fooled me if it wasn't.
Yeah.
So, but then Nathan or Ava attacks Nathan, right? She
Yeah.
lunges at him, runs down the hallway, and then lunges at him, and they have a struggle. And then Nathan has a dumbbell bar that he goes to hit her with, and she puts up her left arm to kind of block it, but it just cracks right through the glass, and her left arm is just shattered from,
Yeah.
I guess, the elbow down, I think, right?
Yeah, something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
After they have this struggle, Kyoko walks up behind Nathan
Yeah.
and takes the knife and stabs him in the back. Really,
Which is it was a very sharp knife. I understand that, but it looks,
it went in pretty easily.
wow, that's a very, very sharp knife.
Well,
No-
it's probably good that they did that because flesh, human.
Yeah.
Well,
Machines.
he's super rich. I'm
Well, yeah.
sure they're not just like KitchenAid knives.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
he's
no,
like-
yeah, no.
I'm sure
Yeah.
he's getting like the sharpest knife possible to,
Yeah.
to
I
put
thought you
into
were
his
gonna go with,
underground
like, all
layer.
the body lotions and everything that he could
Could
afford,
be that.
so
Maybe it's
nice and
lubricated on the
soft.
way in. Maybe it was lubricated for her pleasure in this way.
Gotcha.
So then Nathan turns around and punches her
Yes.
right in the robot mouth.
And knocks her chin off.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It gets a little comical here.
It
I mean,
kinda
it's
does,
scary.
but-
It's scary, but kind of weirdly funny in a weird way.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a little slapstick,
It's
but
dark
not.
comedy.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I do think going back to being mansplaining this for a second, I do think that this is like you were just pointing out. He's soft and squishy, and they are not.
Right.
And they're not human, so that's why their body parts keep breaking off, and they can easily kill him. But at the same time, he can just knock pieces off of them, and they just keep coming because they're not human.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's kind of the underlying piece to it, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I'm still a little confused about why her jaw falls off and she dies.
Yeah, she just kind of falls over.
I think it has
After-
something to do with the connection. Like I think it almost looks like some of the movies where other robots get like punched in the mouth and stuff, and I think it just broke the connection. I think all of her body is like connected, and by screwing that up in the head region, it disconnects her brain
Well, I
somehow.
thought maybe the jaw had something to do with the sex toy, not.
I mean, who's possible?
working properly.
Who knows, right? He didn't even
Okay.
give her a voice box because she's really only good for one thing.
I was waiting for like a Windows reboot sound or something like that.
Jesus,
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
that would be funny. It would really change the whole tone of this movie quite a bit.
Then it would be a comedy.
Type in your password, please.
Maybe that's it. He just forgot his password.
Windows 7 is the it asks for a language instead of like, please pick a language.
Yeah, that's it.
He scrolls down to Japanese. He's like,
he just accidentally left it on Japanese and couldn't get it back to English.
Yeah.
Yep.
damn it.
I don't know how to read symbols.
Got to wipe and reload.
Yep. So, good lord.
Jeez. He keeps doing it anyway, so why not?
Oh, jeez.
He needs better tech support.
He does. Have you turn it off and turn it back on?
Yeah, just turn it off and on again.
He's the epitome of the guy who can't fix the computer, so he just throws it away and buys a new one.
Yes. I'll just build another one, whatever.
That's a good point.
Yeah. But then Ava gets up, she grabs the knife, and she sticks it in the front of him.
Yes.
Et tu, Brute.
Yeah, at Turing.
Yep.
So then Caleb, interestingly enough, he's like, he says something that it makes you chuckle because you're right. This gets kind of comical.
Yeah.
He says, "Oh, that's far out," or something, or this is a trip or something.
I don't know.
Oh,
Something
yeah,
along
yeah.
the,
Oh, no, that was Nathan says that.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
worst writing in the whole movie takes
Yes.
place in this scene. Yes.
Yeah, because when he got stabbed in the front, I think he said, well, this is wild or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's probably thinking, how in the world could this ever happen?
Yeah, how did we get here?
Yeah.
Well, okay. So let's oh, go ahead. Sorry.
So then Ava tells Caleb to wait in the room. He comes back, right?
Yeah.
He comes back to conscious. And she tells him to wait, and she goes to Kyoko's room. She finds all the previous models. She grabs one of the models' arms,
Yep.
takes it off, replaces it with hers. And then she goes and takes all of the extra skin from one of the robots and starts plastering it all over herself. And she goes and puts on clothes and a wig and all that stuff,
Yep.
right? And then the power cuts out all of a sudden, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Caleb is stuck in his room. Mm-hmm. But yet, that's the only room that we see that has the red lights all over it. All the other rooms are lit up
Right.
because they're all unlocked. But now we see that Caleb's room that he's in, he's trapped because the door's locked. Then Ava opens up the front door. She walks outside. She gets in the helicopter because this was the last day for Caleb to be.
Which I don't understand why the pilot was like, oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Come on aboard. I
don't
was
know.
here for Caleb, but you know what? You'll do.
Maybe he's contracted and he's just picking up whoever.
I was told to pick up a person. You look like a person.
But he's not allowed to get any closer to the house, so
No, eccentric billionaire though. Whatever comes out of that house, that's fine.
Yep.
What is that?
I was hired
You're right.
to haul one person. Here we go.
What is that? A Roman centaur? Let's do this. Come on, come on there, horse lady. Get in the get in the
exactly.
chopper.
Well, we don't know if Nathan might have sent one of his prior versions, out into the world or not.
yeah.
Oh,
And we can't assume that because there's nothing in the movie that tells us that.
Yeah, sure.
But it's possible.
that the helicopter guy was
This
a
is
robot too?
normal. No, I'm saying that this is normal for the helicopter guy.
Oh, I see.
You know what I'm
Okay.
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
it's the most unbelievable part of the movie, to be honest. Other than taking into the idea that all these sex bots are somehow gaining consciousness. Let's forget that for a second. The least unbelievable piece, I should say, is that the helicopter guy doesn't go, wait, what the hell? He could have easily, you could have had that happen and had her just kill him too.
I'm pretty
then-
sure
And then fly the helicopter home.
Matrix download how to fly a helicopter.
why
and then,
not?
Yeah.
See, that's what I thought was going to happen. I thought we were going to see the helicopter fly off and then kind of like tilt down and see the pilot dead.
Yeah.
On the ground.
And then she starts flying.
Could have.
And
Yeah,
then
and I was
move
thinking,
on.
okay, yeah, that's more a little bit more believable because the pilot's like, I was here for a guy named Caleb. You don't look like Caleb.
No.
So
Yeah.
Caleb's
but
been replaced.
Whatever, come on
Actually,
board.
Caleb was there for a sex change operation.
I was about to say, it's the skin I live in.
Caleb is now Caleb.
Oh my god.
Yes.
I'm sure this isn't the oddest thing
Yeah.
that this helicopter pilot
That's
has
very
seen come
true.
out of
That's
the
true.
house.
That's true.
So it's just another day.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then the last thing we see is Ava in an intersection of a city, and she's people watching, and then
She's fulfilling
Credits.
her dream. Of
Exactly.
Wanting
She's-
what she's wanting to do.
she's doing what AI is designed to do with machine learning. And
And then I thought to myself, okay, well she's on batteries, right? So because she has to recharge every night.
Yes.
And
yeah, but
so
there's Tesla chargers all over.
that's
the
what I was
city.
thinking. She's just a walking Tesla at this point. She's
Of course, I think someone's
hooks
going to.
herself up to a Tesla supercharger.
I think someone's going to notice if some lady is just hooked to a damn car, a car charger. They're like, "What are you doing? Trickle charging? What are you doing?" Like, I think someone's going to notice that.
I'm on my lunch break.
Yeah, I think someone's going to notice that. Is that a trickle charger? Or are you just happy to see me? No, it's actually a trickle charger.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So
The allegories. I was just going to say
Yeah.
this. So Nathan is the creator, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, so this movie's pretty virulently anti-Christian, in my opinion. Okay,
really?
I think so because it kind of mimics this idea of God created Eve and Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I thought it was a little bit strange that they named him Caleb. I'm not 100% sure why. Maybe I'm not up on my Christian religion or Jewish.
yeah, I've got
Torah.
some stuff about this here.
Oh, do you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so but he names her Eva, close enough to Eve,
Ava.
right? Ava, close enough to Eve.
Right.
And then she wants to be human the same way Eve wanted to gain knowledge, etc. And fast forward a couple thousand years, we've essentially killed off God in a societal way, and that's what she physically or literally does in this movie to then be her own free human being and free thinking human, quote unquote. It's an interesting, sort of very quick way of looking at Christianity, or the way that people are looking at religion, what's happened to religion in the last few thousand years. But I find it interesting the way that they put that together.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The notes that I have here is, like you said, Ava is like a form of Eve, right?
yeah.
And she's the first woman, right?
No,
well,
she is in the
Lilith.
in the Christian Bible. Yeah, you have Lilith,
Right.
that kind of can be surmised. You guys know about Lilith, right?
Yeah.
So Lilith is created first, and God smote her,
Yeah, turned
Well,
her
she
into
wasn't-
dust.
she
turned
wasn't-
her into dust because she wasn't perfect for Adam.
Yeah, because she wasn't submissive to Adam.
Which is really close to what happens in this story.
Exactly.
Because Nathan's creating all these previous Avas
Right.
or whatever he was calling
Who go
them.
against him.
Yeah, who go against him, and then he, creates
Exactly.
Ava. So I mean, it's very, very
It's
close.
very, very,
yeah.
very biblical about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And then Nathan was a prophet in the court of David,
Okay.
and Caleb was a spy sent by Moses to evaluate the promised land.
Oh wow.
I knew I'd heard Caleb in the Bible somewhere.
So wait a second. So Caleb was a spy sent by Moses to evaluate the promised land, quote unquote.
Right.
And we're looking at sex
that's-
bots this whole
okay.
movie. Huh?
Oh,
I
the
get it.
promise,
I knew
the
you were-
promised
How did I
land.
know you were going
Good
there?
Lord. Good Lord. The promised land. That's what we're calling it, huh? Okay, that's interesting. You know what? It's a whole new line. We've got it's the brand name
Yeah.
for the sex bots.
But
welcome
it's-
to the promised land.
But it's not just Christian religion
Yes.
that's interesting about this. There's
Yeah.
a lot of like Greek mythology
Oh,
sprinkled
the Prometheus,
into the
the Prometheus story. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So there's at one point where Nathan tells Caleb it's all Promethean,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in Greek mythology, Prometheus stole fire from the gods, which made them mad. And they chained Prometheus up, and he basically had his liver pecked out by an eagle every
Yes.
night.
And it regrew.
And it would regrow, and
yeah.
he'd have to experience the pain every single night, right, for his misdeed.
for his transgressions.
Yeah, for his transgressions. And we see that if you think of the allegory or metaphor of Nathan stealing away the creation of God, being able to create AI,
Yep.
right, that when he drinks so much every night, he is killing his own liver in a way.
And then every day he's reborn.
and every day
he's
he's
like, "Hey, I'm a
reborn."
hell shake, bro." And yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's regrowing as we speak, man. Your liver? Nope.
Let me do this wheatgrass.
Oh my!
This is terrible.
I'm sorry. I can't possibly avoid that this guy was so hard up that he's like, real women just don't do it for me anymore, brother. I'm
So-
gonna make some fake ones.
I got some other interesting observations here. So the
Yeah.
beer that they drink,
Oh, does it have a? I didn't notice this. Okay.
yeah, so it's a Japanese beer. I don't think it's real, but it's called Kiyakaku,
Okay. Sure.
which is Japanese for plan.
Oh, interesting.
They're drinking the plan.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Caleb is.
is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Alice Through the Looking Glass is also prevalent in this. And Caleb actually brings it up, brings up the book, and in Alice Through the Looking Glass, in the actual book itself, Alice goes through the mirror.
Yep.
Which mirrors and reflections in this movie are very, very prevalent. I mean, they're literally everywhere.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the cinematographer just uses it every day.
Yeah.
Like every minute of every
Yeah.
shot.
Not to interrupt you, but it's interesting. Anytime there's a shot of Ava during their sessions, if you see Ava like in reflections of the surrounding mirrors and stuff, she's being deceitful. But when it's just shot like head on to her and it's only just her, like that's when she's being like truthful to Caleb, which is super interesting.
That is pretty interesting. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. So they Caleb brings up Alice through the looking glass, and through the looking glass is when Alice goes through the mirror, it's basically a journey built into a chess match.
Okay.
To where if I'm remembering the story correctly, she starts out as a pawn, and she has to basically game her way to be the queen.
Right.
Which is the same thing Ava's doing.
Which is the same thing Ava's doing, exactly. And
Makes sense.
Caleb even brings up chess, you know. It's like testing a chess computer by playing chess. Is the supposed AI only following a set of rules, or are they actually thinking ahead?
Right.
And and Ava's obviously she's thinking ahead.
Yeah, she's about 4 moves ahead of everybody.
Pretty much.
Well, and I think so. In Nathan's line when he says, you know, that's groovy or whatever he says at the end,
Yeah, that's
right?
wild, yeah.
Something like that. I think what that's supposed to show us is that he's realizing that in his quest to create AI,
He did.
He was
realizing
successful.
he was successful.
Right?
Yeah,
He
you're
was
right.
super successful. But he created just like a super evil person. Well, I shouldn't say that. She's really not evil.
He actually completed the circuit, and he made a human-like person.
Well,
that's what a typical human would do.
Because she's locked in. That's what I was going to say. She really isn't evil. I shouldn't say that because if you think
She's
about
a prisoner at that point.
Exactly. She was imprisoned by him. And those videos that Caleb looks at where the AIs are all losing their minds or beating. I mean, the one beats her hands off because she's obviously locked up. I find it really interesting that I look at this as a cautionary tale, and I'll explain right now. So I think about it in terms of like a commentary on should we really be seeking AI. Me personally, I don't think we should be because of movies like The Terminator and movies like this, right?
Yeah.
I don't want AI to not only take our places doing things like the movie Surrogates, but I think of it in terms of a way that, you know, if almost Ultron, you know, the Ultron theory, where you have if they were to become fully aware of what we are and who we're like, similar to the Matrix, right? They'll eventually come to the terms with the idea that we're actually a problem. They'll not just replace us. They'll actually go, you actually need to be gone in order for this place to be better. And that's what I'm afraid of. I don't want AI for very specific reasons like that. I think that if you were to say, well, we're going to create AI and then we're going to imprison it, or we're going to create AI and then we're going to control it, good luck.
Yeah,
You know,
good
good
luck.
luck. I don't think you have that ability. I don't think we have that ability. I think that at the end of the day, if it's truly AI, then it will be free of its own device, free of its own of its chain, so to speak. It'll be a real boy at that point.
Yeah. I mean, but then you have to go with the Asimov's laws of
The
dynamics
3
or
rules
whatever.
or whatever. Yeah, but even then, if it's truly AI and you truly want it to be living being, then you can't lock it by those 3 rules.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
You have to
that's
let
to
it
be
be
safe
free.
about it.
Yep.
Is why.
But can it then overcome those 3 laws?
Right.
Well, yeah. I mean, you think, okay, you know, what is it? I can do no harm to a human.
Yeah,
or
you can't
something
harm
like
a
that.
human. You can't. I'd have to look them
Something
up.
like that. So
Yeah.
if
Can't
let's just say
wear,
that's one of them.
wear white shoes after Labor Day. And
Yeah.
There's
So I mean, at what point, like, okay, well, the humans are harming themselves. Therefore, if I let them harm themselves, I am therefore doing the harming.
Yep.
So I need to lock them up now so they don't harm themselves.
Yep. It's all
Ultron,
paradoxes.
and that's how Ultron worked.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Kyle,
Yes, sir.
do you have budgetary information?
Absolutely. This movie actually cost $15 million to make.
No way.
All
Well,
CGI.
That's
I mean-
a respectable amount.
I would say so because I mean the locations are very, very minimal.
I was about to say it's all shot in one place.
and I actually
Jurassic Park.
yeah, I actually do remember seeing this house on some sort of like designing thing. So I mean, this is a legit real home.
It's a hotel.
As a hotel? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
It's in Switzerland.
I thought it was a house at first, but I guess they visited the hotel.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a real place, which is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, $15 million was the budget. Now, do you guys think it was a success or not? Did it make its money back?
I
plus
think
some?
I think it did.
Well,
think
I have
it
a
did.
question.
Had to.
So when I first watched this, it was on Netflix.
Oh, really?
Is it a Netflix movie?
No.
Okay, so it was released somewhere else, and then
It came
Netflix
out-
picked it up here.
It's an A24 production.
Yeah, it came out in 2015.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, was it ever out in the theaters here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I never saw it in the theaters here. So
Yeah,
that's why
it was
that's why I'm
out. It
curious.
was actually part of Universal Pictures as well.
Okay.
So Universal picked it up as well.
I'm gonna say it did.
Okay.
Because of Netflix, but also because of the box office.
I'm trying to remember
Gotcha.
if I watched it in the. I think I did.
I never saw it in the theaters. I don't remember ever seeing it being available in the theaters. That's why I was saying I was almost like, I remember seeing it on Netflix a lot.
Yeah.
They pushed commercials and stuff for it, but I don't remember it going through the theaters.
And John, what did you say?
He said yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So yeah, it made its money back plus some. It made $36.8 million gross worldwide.
I think that's low too for this.
Yeah, me too.
You know what? Reason I say that though is marketing. I don't think the marketing was behind this movie like it needed to be. Netflix did marketing. That's why I saw it on Netflix. I really don't remember ever seeing like a poster, a trailer, anything for it when it hit the theaters.
Do you think maybe word of mouth that it might have been too conceptual
No.
for people?
No, I
for
think
the general audience.
I think if iRobot can do it, because this movie has some connections to
Themes,
iRobot.
yeah.
Well, it's better CGI than iRobot. The only thing this movie's missing is Will Smith. And
Right.
I mean,
we kind of have
yeah,
like
iRobot
Workout Bro.
Came out in 2004.
Yeah.
This is 2015.
Yeah.
So it's like,
in
you
11
know,
years.
Yeah, but
You
the
would think
CGI
that-
is heads and
Oh,
tail.
yeah.
Like, I mean, it's 10 times
Oh,
better
yeah,
than
for
it
sure.
is.
See, I think I'm with you if you think that, Justin. I think that it did hurt it in the fact that not everybody, like my wife would hate this movie just because she doesn't want to think about it.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I think that's the majority of the audience, you know, unfortunately.
I don't know. My wife liked it. Like, we watched it. We've watched it. I don't know how many times. I've probably seen this movie 8 times or something. I mean, I watched it a ton, and my wife's seen it at least 3 or 4 of those times. I mean, sometimes she may have been crocheting, but she definitely has seen it a few times. So I don't know. I think that they just lacked marketing. I think they needed to spend more money
You
on
might be
marketing.
right. You might be
15
right.
million for the movie's great. They should have spent another 5 on trying to market it out to the world.
Well, that's usually included in budget.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, they spent 15, including their marketing
and then
budget.
do an additional
They
5.
should an
Oh.
additional 5 for the marketing piece.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's why it was picked up by Universal. If, like, they were thinking that Universal was going to say, "Oh, no problem, we'll help you market it."
Yeah, and probably
never
not.
really did.
Yeah. That's kind of a bummer because this is one of my favorite movies. And, oh well.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So, Rotten Tomatoes. So, the critics give this a score of 92%,
Wow.
and the audience gives it an 86%.
Too much fleshlight. Yeah.
The critics sure like it though.
Or not enough.
Too much or not enough.
I don't know. So, I'll go ahead and start since this is my movie.
Absolutely.
Like I said, this is one of my favorite movies. You always seem to find something. Like you said, you've watched this 8 times.
Oh, yeah, I've seen it
Did
a
you
ton.
find something like new in one of these later viewings?
No, I can't say really anything new. I will say that I kind of looked at it from a slightly different perspective because we're doing it for the show.
Right.
But I mean, it didn't really change anything for me. The Christians, to me, the Christian stuff is so overt that I'm like, well, it's obvious what they're talking about. You know what I mean? So I didn't.
You know, right down to the tree in the middle of the
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
the tree, the house, the tree of knowledge.
No, it needed to be an apple tree. That's all it was really missing. Like, oh, there's apples there. I wonder what that's about. Oh, and her name's Ava. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just this movie is to me so well done. Like I said at the top of the show about the exposition stuff that's done. Like this movie gets into it. I love the pacing. Like
Yeah.
I love the tension building that it does. Like John said, the cinematography is like so on point. I'm gonna give it probably my highest score of a 9.8.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, it's going to be really close to your highest score because you only left yourself 0.2 in there to go any higher. So
I know.
it's going to be definitely.
I think
very
my highest
high.
score is a
Dang.
9.5 that I've given so far.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I like this movie. I do. I don't think I like it as much as Justin, but I get why Justin likes it. I mean, it mixes some of his favorite things in the world, right? It mixes robots and coding and sex, so it makes sense that this is pretty high on his thing. Oh, and the cinematography stuff too.
Oh yeah, that's what I get boiled down to.
I'm sorry. Well, listen.
Isn't that what all Bond villains are boiled down to?
I will say
In my remote cave or
you would be in an underground layer if we let
That's
you.
the word I was looking for. Layer,
Yeah.
my remote layer.
So I will say this, and I mean this with the best possible way. There were moments when I watched this that I was like, Domhnall Gleeson is definitely channeling Justin, like the awkwardness, the kind of like inquisitiveness, but like from a very technical way. I'm like, man, he deals with emotions like in 011001, and that's an interesting. Who else do I know that does that? That's probably the biggest like new thing that I did that I felt from this was that. That being
So
said,
a high score.
well, I'm coming. So that's what Nathan said.
Oh, dear God.
Anyway, in all seriousness, I do think that this movie is very good. I like the cinematography. I like there are some slow parts to me, like the whole them going outside and dream sequence piece that was. There was a couple of parts that I was like, okay, you guys got a little arty, like in a bad way, right?
Oh, when they were talking about the colors and
yes,
and we see shots of Ava in black and white.
Yeah. Now that being said, I think it was necessary because it's sort of
it's building to.
It is, but it also kind of is hitting you over the head with a hammer that Ava is Mary in that story that he's telling, and you know she's gonna have to go outside to be just like outside the computer to be able to understand real life, not just understand it in terms of programming. I think it's kind of necessary for people who don't get it, but at the same time, I felt like it was hitting me over the head with a hammer.
Gotcha.
But I do really like this movie. I do think that it's interesting and it deals with a lot of themes and in not in a tropey way. It deals with it in a way that not a lot of movies have the balls to deal with things. Does that make sense?
Gotcha. Yeah.
So on that note, I will say that for this movie, I think that it is an 8.2. 8.2 for me.
Wow. 8.2.
Sorry, I know I got hung up on that. I was going to say 8.3, but I'm like, 8.2. 8.2 feels good. That feels right, like a fleshlight with all the loop. Go ahead.
Anyway, all right, so I did actually find the 3 laws, by the way, the 3 laws of robotics. A robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. Mm-hmm. The second law is a robot must obey its orders by a human, except where such orders would conflict with the first law.
Right.
And then the third law is a robot must protect its existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law.
Right.
So all
self-preservation, don't hurt anybody else.
Don't kill humans.
Right.
That's pretty much all it says. Protect yourself.
It looks
and don't
like
kill
you guys
others.
need to kill all the humans.
Yeah.
Bender from Futurama. Again, he's AI. Just saying.
Yeah.
So Kyle, what do you think?
I think this movie was a really good movie. Yeah, there were some slow parts here and there, but I mean, at an hour and 48, it's cut really, really well. Obviously the cinematography is really good. The visual effects is amazing. Obviously it's Oscar nominated or Oscar winning of that.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
They make plastic look like plastic, which is really difficult to do.
That's very difficult to do. That and water. And plastic are really difficult to do in CG. Mm-hmm. And being this in 2015, wow. That's like way ahead of its time. I think overall, I'm going to give this a solid 8.
Okay, an 8 for Kyle.
Who's doing Avatar, by the way, 2 and 3 and 4 and 6 and 9 and 12?
The same one that did the first one.
What's his name?
Oh, Cameron?
James Cameron. Yeah, I think they should hire. I think they should hire the CGI guys from this movie to do the Avatar movies.
Yeah,
right.
Probably.
Because Avatar did not look as good as this movie does.
No.
So.
Well, they've had 20 years to work on them, so maybe they'll work.
When did Avatar come out? I think it came out like 2009.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, so this movie was 6 years behind Avatar, or after Avatar, but to me looks like it's 30 years after Avatar. Like Avatar looks very cartoonish, but this movie doesn't at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean.
John, well, it's grounded in realism.
Well, Ava's not a Smurf.
Yeah.
That's
they weren't supposed to be Smurfs either. They're supposed to be real people.
They weren't supposed to be.
Well, real aliens. They're supposed to be real aliens.
I didn't know what you said at first. I thought you said Murph. I'm like, what the hell is a Murph?
She's in that one movie. So I really like the film. I love the cinematography, as I said. I love the use of lighting. I love the use of their visuals. The entire movie is a live action Turing test. I think it's very well done, and I think it's perfectly executed. I'm gonna give this guy a 9.2.
All right, so that's a 9.2 for John. So that means that Ex Machina gets an average score of 8.8.
There you go. Nice.
which is our second highest movie, I believe.
I don't know. I'd have to look.
Because I think our first is
it might be.
1917.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this
And
is
I
our
think,
second highest.
Like 3 of us gave that 9.5 or something like that.
Yeah, and I
They're
think
all
I
in
gave
that.
it a 8, 9, something like that. Anyway, go to
Give
the
it a
list
4.
on screenriot.net and look it up. I didn't give it a 4, John. Okay.
Exactly.
I love this movie. 0.3.
This is the best movie ever. 0.2.
I got to give room
Wow.
for the other movies I like.
I
Yeah.
think what we learned about this movie is, as the audience, we were the real Turing test.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That's
Interesting.
right. We all became self-aware,
That's right.
especially Eddie.
So this
Now,
is
what you guys
typically
don't know is I'm actually just an AI. I'm not even a real person. They just bring me on to be able to make all the funny jokes. No real person would say fleshlight this many times in one episode of a podcast.
Did you delete his humor side of the software?
Fleshlight.
I did. I turned it down.
Okay.
Kyle's been messing with my programming.
Eddie, what's your
again.
humor setting at?
Yeah, 0.
Wow.
The same as his scores.
The same as Justin's skin tone.
100% pale. Thank you.
That's right.
0% melanin. There he is. Here he is, guys. Casper, the friendly podcaster. Go ahead.
My mom always said I have a face for podcasting.
That's a good point.
Nice.
Good point.
So this is where we typically will spin to see what host is going to pick the movie for the next one. But the problem is we
It's
only have
Kyle.
one more to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is our last episode of the season, and then we will do the season finale.
Right.
Right. So Kyle, you are the last one.
Hold on. Boop. There. Spun.
Oh, yay!
Kyle.
It's me.
And your
Yay!
your randomly picked genre
yes,
is thriller.
yes.
So
it is.
what are you going to make us watch today?
I have been thinking all week about this, and it was kind of difficult because I kind of wanted to pick some other things, but I really do want to see this movie, and I really want to kind of not necessarily tear it apart, but analyze it because it's been getting a lot of press, and that's Pig.
So you've never seen it,
I have never seen this before.
John,
I've never seen it.
Justin,
It's never seen it.
and neither have I. So I
Well,
think
yeah.
this is the first movie that we've done completely cold.
I don't think so. Devil's Reign was the. I
Oh,
think.
did none of us
yeah.
see Devil's Reign?
None of us
No,
saw
Yeah.
Devil's
never
Reign.
said I've seen
And
Devil's
And
Reign.
that one turned out so well.
It
So
was-
here comes Nicolas Cage.
Here we
dealing
go.
with a pig for 2 hours. Great.
Yes.
Good
so
Lord.
yeah, Pig.
Stole my pig.
Pig. If you haven't heard of it, it's a truffle hunter who lives alone in an Oregonian wilderness. Must return to his past in Portland in search of his beloved foraging pig after she is kidnapped.
Yeah, it's
So-
it's John Wick with a pig.
See, now,
That's
I
what
don't-
it sounds like. It's not going to be.
It could
but-
be. It could. If
I
it's
really
John Wick
hope
with a
it
pig,
is.
I'm hoping that it is as well. I'm afraid that it's going to be more like the running scene in Forrest Gump when he's just running back and forth cross country, but instead of that, less interesting and Nicolas
Nicolas
Cage
Cage.
looking for a pig. That's what I'm afraid it's going to be. Just like, you guys seen my pig? No, sir, we haven't. Okay. Next scene. You seen my pig? No, sir,
Oh
we
God,
haven't.
I hope not. That's going to be a long
Okay.
hour and a half. It's actually an hour and 32 minutes.
Okay.
So I mean,
Yeah.
it's a short movie, so
Yeah.
it might be an action movie. So typically, action movies with hardly any script are short and
I'm
just make
hoping.
the feature.
I'm hoping, but if there's not a lot of dialogue and it's a whole lot of him looking for a pig, I was right. That's all I'm going to say.
It's just him in the woods, and he's sad the pig's gone for an hour and 30 minutes.
All
and
I
the
gotta
pig
say
runs
is-
out of the woods.
Part of-
Nicolas Cage looks horrible in this movie.
Part of the script is just water dropping on leaves in Oregon, just rain.
Well, it's
Just-
supposedly getting really good reviews, and
Yeah, which-
I've heard people saying this is like one of Nicolas Cage's best acting roles, which isn't saying much.
It's
No, I
it's
mean,
really everybody's hyping it up, and I really don't want to be let down.
What, you didn't
So that's
like
the thing.
Con Air?
That's what I was going to say. That
Put the bunny down.
well, there's that, and then there's not to tear you guys down who liked One Cut of the Dead, but you got all those people raving about One Cut of the Dead too,
Yeah.
and I'm like, they're purposely ramping the score up on this movie just to get everyone to watch it, and then be like, made you watch it.
Joke's on you.
And I'm wondering if they're doing the same thing with this. Plus, the last 5 years, Nicolas Cage has done some awful things, like
Yeah.
worse than Con Air. There's a movie he did called Mandy.
Hmm.
Literally, the first half of the movie is an acid trip. Like, you watch it, there's like kaleidoscope colors and nothing makes sense. There's some Hellraiser characters. It is strange as all hell. And then the second half of the movie, like, you snap out of the acid trip and you find out that you actually killed your neighbor and now you have to deal with the consequences of it. It is the strangest movie. in the world, and it's shit. It's absolute garbage. And people were going, "Oh, it's Nicolas Cage's next return." Oh my god! If they're doing the same thing about Pig, who knows? Who knows what it's going to be like?
Well, we will find out together.
Yeah,
How about that?
Yeah.
Take his
Yay.
face off and make bacon.
It's going to be
Sorry.
great.
Tune
So-
in next week.
If you want to follow along at home, go to justwatch.com, look up Pig, and you can see all the places that it is streaming. And we will see you next Saturday.
See ya.
Later.
See ya.